See, and that's what I'm talking about. It's just drinking.
I was not able to turn myself in. I apologize for that.
Did you call your attorney and say you couldn't make it?
But I've not, I have not, again, I don't know why it's coming up with that. And I didn't have access any of those days to alcohol or have them in my possession at a no drinking facility. So honestly, I'm telling you, I don't have access to
I'm going to tell you, I'm not believing what she's telling. I just don't think she's going to do what anybody asked her to do.
I can assure you I'll be here on the 1st. I will.
You're just not following through. You don't do what you don't want to do. Well, it doesn't work that way. But at this time, defendant bond is revoked.
This entitled Brett walked into Judge Simpson's courtroom already setting herself up for disaster. She's out on bond for substance issues, but instead of following the conditions, she allegedly tampered with her tether and got caught drinking. And of course, she denies everything, like she's the only person in the room who doesn't see what's happening. Here's the thing. Lying in Judge Simpson's courtroom is basically asking for a one-way ticket back to jail. He does not play when it comes to dishonesty, especially since bond is supposed to be built on trust. The whole situation turns into a complete mess, and watching her try to wiggle her way out is just painful. So let me know in the comments. Do you think Judge Simpson went too harsh here? Or was he just doing exactly what needed to be done? Let's dive in and watch.
We are here for PCC and bond violation. I understand the court has received and reviewed the materials that were sent over yesterday.
I did.
Thank you, Your Honor. The only request that we would have when we're discussing those materials, she is staying in a shelter in Livingston County. There is a separate DB having nothing to do with any of this. And there are some cross allegations in that case. So she's just requesting that we not say the name of the shelter if someone is listening on Zoom to where she's staying.
Understood.
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe that the materials that we provided were pretty thorough in terms of where Ms. Brown has been coming from and what her circumstances are and pertaining to the bond violation. So I was wondering if the court had any questions.
Well, I do, because I'm not sure how you provided the materials, but I'm not sure how that relates to the specific allegations of the bond violation. Because what I have, certainly, maybe one might be able to look at the consumption of alcohol, but there was a tampering that occurred for a 12-hour period.
So I am going to let Ms. Brown address that herself with the court. You can explain to him where you're at in terms of the allegation of I had forwarded her the reports the same day. And just so that Your Honor knows, she did intend to turn herself into the jail this morning, but she was unable to get a ride this morning. And so she's here for in-person court this afternoon. So regarding the tamper on 6/23 and then the positive on 6/25, the court is looking for either an explanation or an admission as to these two.
Your Honor, I don't have any clue why those were coming up that way. I know that I was called in to community corrections to have my unit replaced for servicing. And when on my way there, Miss Julian called me and said that she received a notification from courts that I had a tampering and violation that she would, wanted clarification about. And I had no idea what she was talking about. I told her that I was just called in to do a replacement on the unit itself. I have only been at La Casa AA meetings and with AA people because I don't currently have transportation and a license to get myself to and from these places. And I have not had access or been in the environments of drinking whatsoever. The only events outside of AA are AA events that I've been to, such as there was a sober rave in Royal Oak that I've gone to, but that wasn't even in the dates in question. So I'll stop with that. But I was completely confused. So I had the unit replaced. And while at community corrections, they had told me that I had this tampering and violation 2 counts. And I was in for my reading the week before during this time. And they said that I was all set, good to go. We'll see you next week. And so I was really unsure why I was getting that unless it was due to needing servicing. But I've not saying, Your Honor, this is way too important.
Well, hold on a second. Just so that we're clear before you go on with your story.
Okay.
On June 23rd at the 12:56 a.m. time.
Yes, sir.
That's when the tamper is detected.
Okay.
With the unit. on the 25th, there isn't a tamper. It's just drinking.
Again, I don't know why it's coming up with that unless the servicing part of it needed it. Because at the shelter where I'm currently residing, there's a locked door policy from 11:30 PM until 7 in the morning. And I didn't have access any of those days to alcohol or have them in my possession at a no drinking facility. And I was at the facility at both of those times.
I'm really not buying this girl's story right now. She's acting like it's literally impossible to smuggle alcohol into a shelter, when we all know that's just not true. This isn't a maximum security prison. It's a shelter with rules that people bend every single day, and the way she talks, you'd think she was living in some kind of fortress where contraband magically can't exist. Come on, people have been sneaking alcohol into stricter places for decades. Here's the real kicker though. Her entire defense is basically, it couldn't have happened. That's not really a defense. It's just denial. And every time she doubles down, she's not building credibility. She's destroying it. The sad part is Judge Simpson is still giving her the chance to explain herself, and she's just wasting it with excuses and half-truths. I'm not saying she's guilty for sure, but there's no strong argument on her side right now. And when the scales are already tilted against you, weak excuses only push them further. So let me know in the comments. Do you think she's lying? Or is she really just that unlucky?
Documented on camera. I believe they have at the shelter, as well as my sign in and out sheet, and documentation from the shelter staff themselves saying that I was there and there was no evidence of me using. The doors lock at 11:30. I'm a smoker. I come in and I pretty much turn out the lights and go to bed by midnight every night. So honestly, I'm telling you, I do not know unless it has something to do with the servicing aspect of it. I don't have access to there, and it's a couple miles
Does she
away.
want a hearing on this? Because I'm going to tell you, I'm not believing what she's telling me.
Okay.
Then we would request a hearing, and we would ask Community Corrections to bring a log of their, not just the violation reports, but if she's been indicating, and she did to me that day, that they called her to Community Corrections to switch out her unit. If there was a problem, and this would have been the unit that was switched out. After this, this would have been the problem unit, is what I'm saying, is that if there was a problem with the unit. So perhaps we hearing where Community Corrections can bring their documentation of what they did and when, and the servicing of their units.
How much time would the people need?
I'm emailing Community Corrections right now. And time that works for the courts, I can bring one of them over. Anytime that works for the courts, I can bring one of them over for a bond violation hearing, whatever the court.
All right, I'll set it for August. I'll set the bond violation hearing as the bond in this case. Now, what I'm worried about is I issued a bench warrant without bond.
I understand, Your Honor. I informed Ms. Brown of that the same day that the court issued the warrant. I did instruct her to turn herself into the jail. I do believe that part toward the end of her letter that was directed to the court expresses that she was emotionally really grappling with coming into custody based on all of her circumstances that were outlined. I have continued to encourage her to turn herself into the jail. She was going to do so this morning, but she does not drive.
Ms. Julian, and I'll just tell you, that's part of my problem. Part of my problem is I know how you operate, Ms. Julian. You told your client, tell them what the right thing to do is, and they don't do it. And then today, or yesterday when we received the information and we understood she was going to turn herself in that morning. And so we were then trying to make sure that she was going to be on the docket at the proper time so we'd see her. So she was just sitting there and she doesn't turn herself in. And my staff, we're going all around trying to figure out where she is. And then I get an excuse, she doesn't have a ride here. I just don't think she's going to do what anybody asked her to do. She's just going to make her own call on all this stuff. And I appreciate the circumstance that she's in and have great sympathy regarding that, but I can't let you just go around violating what the court says you need to do.
From Judge Simpson's point of view, this one's really simple. She's staying in custody until the hearing is over. Why? Because she already showed she doesn't take her bond seriously. First off, she violated conditions by drinking. And now, She gets caught ducking a warrant like she thought she could just skip it and stay free. That is exactly the kind of behavior that makes judges slam the door shut on bond the second time around at the end of the day. Bond is basically just a contract. The court trusts you not to mess up, and you promise not to mess up. You break it once, maybe you get another shot. But when you don't even show up after a warrant is issued, yeah, it's pretty much done for at that point. Judges see this pattern over and over, and that's why they get stricter with repeat offenders. It's really not personal. It's the system protecting itself. Honestly, even if she had kept quiet, I think Judge Simpson still would have kept her in custody. But here's the thing. Some people only learn the hard way. That's just human nature. So what do you guys think? Should she get another bond? Or did she dig her own hole here?
I do have in the next week before the first medical alcohol treatment with another drug testing per bond order. And I also have general therapy with my counselor, my therapist, all of those appointments, as well as some medical appointments that are all before the 1st of August. I have not left the state, and I was here this morning. I was not able to get here to turn myself in, but I was here for this hearing, and I can assure you I'll be here on the 1st. I really need to make these appointments.
You shouldn't have had to go through whatever. And like I said, it's not like you didn't get the information from your attorney. You didn't get that. I'm reading everything she's sending me. She's doing a yeoman's job trying to represent you and do that. You're just not following through.
I do not have a license, and I'm really sorry that I was not able to turn myself in. I apologize for that. Thank you.
Did you call your attorney and say you couldn't make it?
No, I wasn't sure yet, but I.
See, and that's what I'm talking about. I mean, Miss Julian makes a representation to us that this is what you're going to do. This is everything. And then the person that's defending you and trying to make sure that the court understands everything about you, you're not even communicating with them to say this isn't going to happen. And then you're not following her instructions.
She said she'd meet me at 1:45, and I texted her at 1 o'clock and said I'd be here at 1:30 and that I would meet her at 1:45. I didn't ask her for a ride, though. You're right.
She did text me. It was after the morning, I want to say noon, that you were not able to turn yourself in this morning and that you would be here at 1:30. So I said that to meet me here since you were going to be meeting me here. So.
How'd you get here this time?
I had a friend of mine picked me up.
I think that what you want to do is you don't do what you don't want to do. And so you don't put the effort forth. And then everybody is sort of just misled as to what you're going to do. Well, it doesn't work that way. Because it puts a whole lot of people out. Because, like I said, we're going on Miss Julian's representation of what she instructed you to do and what you said you were going to do. And you didn't do it. And then everybody's looking around. We don't even know where you are or that you're going to show up at this time. You don't get to make those choices. So at this time, Miss Julian, you can file a motion regarding her additional appointments and other things that she may have to do. But at this time, defendant's bond is revoked, defendant's remand.
Mr. Your Honor, thank you. In the meantime, for the record, we are trying to see if we can resolve this case at district court level. So
Okay.
those conversations will continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
This entitled Brett walked into Judge Simpson's courtroom already setting herself up for disaster. She's out on bond for substance issues, but instead of following the conditions, she allegedly tampered with her tether and got caught drinking. And of course, she denies everything, like she's the only person in the room who doesn't see what's happening. Here's the thing. Lying in Judge Simpson's courtroom is basically asking for a one-way ticket back to jail. He does not play with dishonesty, especially when bond is supposed to be about trust. And the whole situation just turns into a mess, because instead of owning up, she keeps trying to wiggle her way out. And it's just painful to watch, and then she doubles down with this excuse about how it's impossible to sneak alcohol into a shelter. Really? Come on. This isn't a maximum security prison. It's a shelter with rules people bend every single day. People have been sneaking alcohol into stricter places for decades. Acting like it couldn't happen isn't a defense, it's just denial. And every time she says it, she tears down her own credibility even more. Meanwhile, Judge Simpson is still giving her space to explain herself, and she's just wasting it with excuses and half-truths. I'm not saying she's 100% guilty, but there's no strong argument on her side. And when the scales are already tilted against you, bad excuses only push them further. Now, from Judge Simpson's point of view, this case is really simple. She's staying in custody until the hearing is over. Why? Because she already showed she doesn't take her bond seriously. First, she violated by drinking. Then she ducked a warrant, like she thought she could just skip it and stay free. That's basically the nail in the coffin. Bond is just a contract. The court trusts you not to mess up, and you promise not to mess up. You break it once, maybe you get another shot. But when you don't even show up on a warrant, yeah, it's done. Judges see this pattern all the time, and that's why they come down harder on repeat offenders. It's not personal, it's just the system protecting itself, and honestly, that's what happened here. Messing up bond conditions is bad enough, but refusing to come in on a warrant? That's the breaking point. Bond is already a thin line to walk, and once you stack violation on top of violation, nobody feels bad when it snaps. Once you show the court you can't be trusted, it's nearly impossible to earn that trust back. And you know what? I'll give Judge Simpson credit here. His patience really stands out. He gave her chance after chance, but she left him with nothing to work with because she kept doubling down on bad choices. That's the part one respect the most, his fare. He'll give you that extra chance if you need it, but once you start showing straight-up disrespect, there's really no way around it. You going to serve some time. So yeah, I think he handled this exactly right. Some people just need to learn the hard way, and that's just reality. That's human nature, but let me know what you guys think. Do you think she deserves another shot at Bond, or did she dig her own hole here? And while you're at it, let me know who your favorite judge is. Honestly, I just don't think there's anyone better to watch than Judge Simpson. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned for the next one.